Miss Johnson, and it is an honor that you have joined us today for this very important and insightful conversation by peers, for peers who are making a difference. I would like to thank Ms. Patricia Patty Houston, Dr. Rayna, and the Howard University Stigma team for bringing the conversation to a national and international level for peer movements by creating a dialogue with the power of peer support, breaking the chains of stigma together. I would also like to thank these extraordinary women. Could y'all give them a round of applause? These extraordinary women on this panel as we discuss celebrating life through the storm from a peer's perspective. The peer movement involves advocating, spreading awareness, and working together to erase the stigma. The vision for the Women Celebrating Life Through the Storm from a peer's perspective is to share our stories of what it takes to overcome the storms of life. The mission of the Women Celebrating Life Through the Storm from a peer's perspective is to share our influence, knowledge, and our life skills and experiences so we may help others understand from a peer's perspective. By a peer and for a peer. And what is it going to take moving forward 2023? So let's get started. First, we must understand the meaning of the word storm. As a noun, it means turbulent, unstable disturbance of the atmosphere and was uproar or controversy from a noun's perspective. From a verb, it means to move angrily or forcefully in a specific direction. A storm from a peer entails different challenges, discriminations, judgment, and stigma, as well as triumphs, how to navigate a storm that does not respect or acknowledge the great strides of the peer movement. So let's talk about celebrating life through the storm from a peer's perspective. Panelists, would you be so kind to introduce yourself to our audience with your name, where you live, your organization, and or business? And we'll go right down the line.
Good evening, everyone. It's really nice to see everyone. First, in honor of God. And I am Jo Patterson. I run an organization called Parent Watch Incorporated. I've been doing advocacy now for 5 decades. And so, that's it.
And she's also known in the community as Mama Jo. Okay? I think that's important to understand because we as women, we have that motherly, okay? And 50 years, this lady has been making a difference in Washington, D.C.
Hello everyone, my name is Aracelis Quiñones and I was born in Puerto Rico. I have been living in New York City for the past 36 years, which are the same years that I have been living with HIV. I am a program group coordinator for a group of people living with HIV, and the name of the group is called For the Latino, which means Latin Power in English, for the Latino Commission on AIDS.
All right. Good evening, afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. First, let me say HU. Let's give HU some respect. You know it. Yes. So, yes, I am a graduate of Howard. My name is Kenise Robertson, and I'm originally from the Bronx. I've been living in the Washington, D.C. area forever. Right now, I'm a case manager / therapist for the City of Alexandria, Department of Age and Adult Services, Older Adult Mental Health. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Linda Arnie, founder of Church LLC. I contract out with CFSA, working with teen moms and teens. I'm considered what they call TIP, Trauma-Informed Professional Prime, working with teens in my home. And then I also, as a float around, working as a counselor at Blair with homeless men.
Okay, you can hold the mic, Ms. Linda, because I'm gonna ask you. We have questions that we're gonna ask. Okay, so our first question for the panel, let me introduce myself. My name is Rhonda Johnson, and I am a certified peer specialist. I have my own company now, Hope to Reality, and I am an author who writes books on addiction, mental health disorders that are known as co-occurring disorders. And my mission is to bring awareness, education, hope, and solutions to co-occurring disorders. Okay? Come on in. Come on in. So panelists, what does overcoming stigma mean to you?
What overcoming stigma is being able to look at a situation without judgment. And in order to be able to do that, we have to know one another. And in knowing one another, going deep, meaning that we can't address any other issues without first addressing the mental health issue. And once we get to, if I know you, I'm able to, and I don't have to know you in the sense of knowing you for a long period of time. I've had people, in the work of counseling, I've had people open up, but I'm able to open up about me. So being authentic, being your authentic self, and that's all over the world. We don't have the realness. I don't even see that there's any stupid people in the world. There's stupid behavior. Everybody on this planet is intelligent. We got the education, but it's being able to be your authentic self. So whether you up here with some big title making a whole lot of money or you down here, I have met people who just cannot be themselves. We hide behind a mask, and we're not going to get anywhere with others that we claim to help if we can't be ourselves. So that's how we overcome that stigma. You got to be real. You got to have it laid on the table. This is who I am now. This is where I've been. This is what I've been through. And then that way I can get you to see that you too can overcome what you're going through. But if I'm sitting up there with, I don't know, and I heard, or I got someone in the family, but, like I can't relate, we're not going to reach folks.
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that, Ms. Linda. Ms. Cass, what does overcoming stigma mean to you?
Okay, so first I want to say thank you all for allowing me to come in here and share. Today I just wanted to be as transparent as I possibly could. I don't want to be Kenise today.
That's right.
Right? And being Kenise, I might be able to help you mind, right? You know, all the titles, because I have a lot of titles. I just take practice to remember all the stuff I just said. Right? But overcoming the stigma for me is no matter what. Right? Because I haven't always been this smiling face sitting up here. Right? And so, no matter what, today, no matter what, right? But I had to believe in myself. Not only did I have to believe in myself, I had to accept and believe the fact that it was a purpose for me. Like I just wasn't here. You know what I'm saying? Once I said, okay, it's a purpose for you, Kenise. And I had to believe that no matter what they say, because they say stuff, right? They say stuff, I got some numbers that might be attached to my name. They're still there. Numbers still there, right? All that. So I had to say, despite all that stuff, right? Let me show you what else I got, right? And once I had the opportunity, right, I just reach for the sky. Like every time I achieve one goal, I just go to the next, right? And I'm all about advocating. Like I didn't want to be a social worker. Like that was boring, and they said wasn't a lot of money in it. That's right. They ain't never lied. But listen, what's in it is advocating for people who can't advocate for themselves, right? And once I can touch a couple of people's lives and make a difference in a couple of people's lives, then, I've done my job, right? My purpose is to help the next person. That's it. Overcoming the stigma is hard. It's hard because I still school, at one point, I believe what they said. They said some stuff about Kenise, and I believed it, right? But once I got to know Kenise, I knew that she wasn't such a bad person, and I can overcome anything as long as I have breath in my body.
And what
Same as
does
you.
overcoming stigma mean to you?
It means a lot, you know. First, thank you for having me here. Thanks so much. Why it means a lot? Because first, I never knew what was stigma when I was living in Puerto Rico. That word was not on my dictionary until I came here and was diagnosed with AIDS. That's when I knew what a stigma was. And the first thing is that it made a big impact in my life because I was pregnant when I was diagnosed with AIDS. And when I went to get a test, I was hugged by the nurse, telling me that everything was going to be okay, that my results were going to be negative, that there was no way that I have HIV because I didn't look like I have HIV. So 2 weeks later, when I came back for the result, the same nurse talked to me like with a big distance. She didn't want to touch me anymore, and she told me that I have 1 year to live. So that was the first time that I experienced a stigma. And then from my own peers, because everybody was saying, okay, but I have HIV, but you have AIDS, so we're different.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was, for a second time, then I got pregnant, and I have this baby, and this baby was born HIV negative, but today he is open with his sexuality and he's gay, and then I experienced stigma again, because as a mother living with a son who's gay, I was in a relationship when I was abused, and then a stigma again because, oh, she wants to be there. She wants to get hit. She's there because she wants to. So, I mean, in every way, plus being at that time also abusing substances. That was another way when I was called tecata. In Spanish is tecata. When you are, that's a bad word for people who abuse substances. So, a stigma has been around me for 35 years, and now, because I'm aging with HIV, so la vieja, you know, so she's old. So overcoming a stigma for me is like making me a new person every day. It makes me stronger, it makes me powerful, it makes me valuable. And even with my heavy accent, I have been stigmatized because of my accent, like, what did you say?
Thank you so much. Thank you. Joe, what does overcoming stigma mean to you?
I've thought about it, but I kind of want to reverse it. I think or feel that stigma is a manifestation of other people's insecurities. Because the way we feel is what people project on us. And so everyone said about overpowering yourself with that self-reliance, that self-esteem. And so really you yourself can reverse that stigma. And it's also a tool, when I want to go towards systems, it's also a tool that is used in the system to also activate in us that we're supposed to concern ourselves about stigma. So we got to look at that, just like mental health, they change it to behavioral health, because everything, we as darker brown people, we live off of words. We live off of vibrations. You know, we live off of the field. That's why they say you can't keep still. They just, and you're in a meeting and a person see you doing that, and they say, you're upset. No, I'm not. I am articulate, and I'm black, and we feel. And so I just want to say overcoming stigma for me is that in my mind, I have to love on myself. And I've learned in these 71 years that when you depend on people to make you happy, you then become miserable. And nothing in life, I've just learned that, someone will say, oh, how can you still talk to that person and they did so and so and so? I said, because the very thing on the stigma that we don't like, the very thing that you don't like about that person, why are you going to exercise it back? So stigma to me is just something that we need to remember in terms of our heritage, our history, and all that we have gone through. We still have that light. And they keep using words to describe us. So we have to begin to change stigma. Our children are bad, we're violent. All of these things, we have to tell people, no, that's not me. That's not the verge, you know? And our culture is not that. So stigma, we gotta realize it's one of the words we have down about stop in the name of love. So we have to begin to reverse things, you know, and reverse people that put that kind of stigma on us.
Awesome, awesome. Pass it to.
Excuse me, guys.
All right, our second question is, what strategies are needed?
Excuse me, you want some water? See, it's carpet in here.
It is. It's dry.
I can't look there.
You want me to get some more water? One more water?
Please.
I have one. I'm gonna get some water.
Okay,
Oh, look at that purple hair.
I love hair.
I just-
Anybody want some water? I'll take it. Okay.
You gonna make it?
okay, our second question. What strategies are needed to come through and endure a storm?
Kids. Elise, could you ask us? Okay, so,
What strategies are needed to come through and endure a storm?
so for me, you know, I'm gonna use this. When it rains outside, I don't stand in the rain. I move forward. So when it's a storm, I believe I'm supposed to move in the storm and get to the other side. That's just what I believe about the storm. Again, you know, as one of my peers was saying, you know, I'm a recovering addict. I'm a ex-offender, full disclosure, all that. I remember graduating from the 6th grade, and then that was it. Then I got a GED, but then after all that other stuff, like after His grace and mercy and coming to the other side of my addiction, thank you. Being in most of the jails in DMV area, serving prison sentence twice. After all that, I wound up graduating from a school like Howard. So I didn't graduate from the 9th grade. I didn't graduate from the 12th grade. And it wasn't, I was going to UDC and I realized one day, I was like, Kenise, the last time we graduated was the 6th grade. And I didn't just graduate, I graduated with all this stuff, right, that I didn't even know. My sister was like, you graduated, cool, I was like, who? I was just going to school, y'all. That's, all I know is that I needed to go to school, right? Because of my past and the wreckage, right? So I just keep moving forward no matter what. And don't tell me no.
That's right.
A lot of times when I'm challenged, that's fire under my behind, right? Yeah. So in the storm, I just keep moving forward. You know, I'm an older adult with a 9-year-old son.
That's what I'm talking about.
And a 36-year-old daughter.
All right.
Don't ask me no questions, right? Just say right now. So yeah, my God, let me just say that, it's good. And this ain't no religious thing, but I'm just gonna say you say me. Right? So I just keep moving no matter what. Like I have to now. Like I got a whole baby. Like I gotta keep moving. Ain't no stopping, ain't no slowing down. Every now and then I might let you sleep, Kenise, but you gotta get up and do it again. Right? Even coming to Howard, right? Right? Yeah, let me just say, even coming to Howard, I had to put some fire under because it wasn't easy.
That's right.
Let me just say that. It wasn't easy. But when you look at me a certain way, you say, I don't think, or no, or maybe, I'm like, what? You don't know what I've been through. I just look like this.
That's right.
So, for me, coming through a storm means that I just keep moving. I keep moving because I don't want to drown.
That's you.
What strategies are needed to come through a storm and or endure a storm?
I would say that the first one for me is to focus on the positive, because many times when we go through bad times in our lives, we only see the bad, but there is also positive things that we can learn from. So focus on that, you know. Also to have gratitude.
Oh, wow.
We need to have gratitude. Yesterday, one friend, I'm gonna tell you this quick story. One friend called me from Puerto Rico. He has a car accident, and he was in the hospital. And then this morning, he was home, and he told me, Aracelis, I am so pissed. My Christmas are messed up. And I say, wow, you know. You have to see it this way. You have received your Christmas gift before Christmas Day because you are alive. You were in a car accident and you are alive. It could have been worse. So have gratitude for every day that you are living. You know, for me, being in the storm of drug addiction, of domestic violence, of living with AIDS, of everything that I have been through, it has made me a lot stronger.
Yes.
And powerful. And learning from everybody, and let people see me as a role model sometimes, because when I used to go with pharmaceutical to talk about my HIV, and one time a kid, he was 16, he came from the public, hugged me and told me, thank you. Thank you for saying that you have 30-something years living with HIV, because I was thinking of killing myself because I was just diagnosed. So impacting one life for me was a big thing. So it doesn't matter what you're going through. I would say stay still. It's not how many times you fall to the ground, it's how you come back up.
That's right. What strategies are needed to come through and endure a storm?
I think for me is I had to learn how to dance in the rain.
Did y'all hear that? Say it again, Miss
I
Linda.
had to learn how to dance in the rain, dance in that storm, and be able to take and find something good from it. As an incest survivor, being molested as a child, being promiscuous as a teenager, getting on drugs as a teenager, I was able to look back and still have those skills, because when I work with youth, working or being around my grandchildren from ages 12 to 2, looking for those signs, knowing those signs of when something is wrong, you know. So I don't see my experience as a curse, you know. Working in the mental health field, I need to know what those signs look like when somebody is a little off or depressed or not feeling themselves. So learning how to dance in the rain and be grateful, you know, that even though I've been through all of that, like I said, I've sharpened those skills and learned to use them to be able to work with others. And my 12-year-old grandson, I tell you, I mean, he just turned 12, he's moody, but I'm like, okay, we need to have a conversation. No, Grandma, nobody's touched me, because I'm just trying to make sure what's going on. What's going on with you? What are your friends? What are y'all talking about? What's, you know, what kind of activities are y'all doing when you're outside? You know, where I didn't have that coming up. You know, I had a mother who was not emotionally there, who was not physically there because of her depression and her weight. So therefore, I had to look out for me and my sister and brother. And being the oldest, you know, I was scared. I lived in fear. I lived in fear every day. So to be able to turn that around, and I have anxiety real bad today, but to be able to turn that around and get on a plane, you know, my grandchildren in South Carolina, my son is in Atlanta, you know, I have 2 adopted sons, and I only say that when I'm telling my story, they are my babies, I don't like to separate them. But being able to, I never thought that I would be able to do any of these things coming up as a child filled with trauma and fear. I never thought. So I think learning to be able to know how to, find a way to dance in that lane and say that something good is going to come out of this.
Okay.
At some point, something good is coming out of this.
And that's powerful.
Yeah.
That's powerful. Because everybody will not admit that. Joe, what strategies are needed to come through and endure a storm?
I would really love that everybody say dancing, because I love to dance. But the whole key to that dancing is don't care who watching. And so, the overcomer, and I have to give honor to God, because before the word God, Jesus Christ was my friend, even as a young person. But also the strength of my mother. My mother raised 4 children by herself as a nurse, and I saw her struggle at work. But the other overcoming is the kind of work we do, and all of the stories what we've gone through, and I mean, the most I might have ever did was like smoke marijuana, but I had a brother who used to run Rap Incorporated for like 30-something years.
And what is Rap Incorporated?
Rap Incorporated.
Come on
It's a
in.
rehabilitation addiction program. The late Rhonda ran it, and they used natural ways to go through addiction, through communications and working and walking through it. And also the transformation of the family and the village. That's the other thing that is going to be the most powerhouse of us overcoming, is that we begin to be a village. But I myself, I used to write poetry. I used to love stories. But then when you grow up, you find out the love stories. The love stories ain't like that, with that white and the bridesmaid and all that. I even found out that the weddings, they look beautiful, but behind the scenes, they are nightmares. So just overcoming, just like really us sitting in here and being in this room and what we feel and sitting amongst these beautiful women and the story we tell, that helps me also be an overcomer. And looking into y'all face, seeing that you see that there's no pretentiousness here, and that you see that it's truth and integrity here. And I think that is a great transformation of overcoming. But that dancing, I'm trying to tell y'all, if a table's sturdy enough, I will get up on the table. The table got to be sturdy enough. I love the dance. And I found out that the reason why we, as persons and people of color, we like to dance, it's a vibration.
Yes.
It's
a feel. Even with even salsa, it's a moving thing.
Yes, it is.
So it just moves everything in us.
Yes.
So overcoming with everything, and even this word peer, and even this word with lived experience. I be sitting in the room with the judge. I say, all y'all got lived experience. I don't know why y'all put me out. Your children still rob, use drugs, everything else. They've been through all of it, but they have the resources and the status that we have to make sure that we penetrate the systemic change of institutional, intellectual, learned privilege. It does not make you brilliant than us, brilliant than the man that's sitting on the corner that's homeless. Because you can walk by him and he say, smile, have a great day. And the person with the PhD and the Mercedes and on, they drive by you. And the same thing with our churches. No one, I tell the minister, you're no more reverent to the Lord than I am. So the bottom line is our overcoming is ourself. It's ourself and how we dance through it, as everyone has said. And then you notice the rain. You know that rain washing us clean. Go ahead on, say that.
Girl,
I love it.
Say that.
Okay, that was good. That was good. That was good. Get ready to make me get up in it and put on a song for all of us to do something, okay?
When we start that.
Okay. Our third question. What advice or knowledge from the lessons of life you learned would you share for those who are going through a storm?
Good question. I would say, let's start with self-love, self-compassion, taking care of ourselves, because we want to take care of everybody else, and we need to work also with our internalized stigma.
Yes.
And we need to understand that, when we, not only when we live with HIV, but when we talk about HIV, please be aware that HIV is the virus, but stigma is the deadly disease. So sometimes we have a stigma against ourselves, So just look at yourself in the mirror and say, I'm here, I'm glad I'm here, I'm going to live, I'm going to do something for a change. I want to educate my community, I want to continue educating myself, I want to live. This morning I heard that story and I was like, yes, I want to live.
Beautiful, beautiful. What advice or knowledge from the lessons of life you learned would you share for those who are going through a storm?
I would say you have to believe in yourself and never be afraid to ask for help. True. Like, that's why we're here. That's why we are here. We're not in this world just by ourselves. Even the therapists need help.
That's right.
So, just don't be afraid to ask for help. Like I'm up here, right? And I'm telling you that you might not have been through what I've been through, but you might have been through something, right? And you got all these other young women that've been through stuff too. If you can relate, or if anything is touching you, before we leave, hey, Kenise, how did you do this? How did you do that? It's about networking and all that other stuff. That's right. That's what it's about. Rhonda found me. She found me and she asked me to do it, and I've never said no about telling my story. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, I'm just trying to help somebody else. So always believe in yourself and never be afraid to ask for help. Really don't matter what they say. Right? It didn't matter when I was copying.
I know that's right.
All right now.
That's right.
So, thank you.
Miss Linda, what advice or knowledge from the lessons of life you learned would you share for those who are going through a storm?
I would say check in. The way I like to have money, I keep a therapist on the other side. I don't leave home without him. He's my American Express. Anywhere I go, I can pick up the phone and call him and talk to him. Because even, like now, I get burned out. I have those moments, and my therapist has done work for me. When we sit down together and therapy with a child that I'm working with. So I say have someone where you can, if you're not comfortable with a therapist, someone that you can really talk to who's not going to be biased, and also they're not going to see things just the way you see it, just because you're saying it. I'm your friend, I'm going to go along with you because, for sake of argument, no. Mom tells me when I'm wrong. He tells me when, look, Linda, you shouldn't have did that. You was coming off too aggressive. They're not going to get it. He's there. And whenever, God forbid he passes, it's going to be somebody else there. I keep a therapist, and I do other things like journal, I do all those things, meditation, but I love having a therapist. And I try to tell the children that I'm working with, you need to be able to regurgitate, get that garbage from outside of you or inside of you and get it out, and knowing that it's not going anywhere. Because I know if all of us was to start talking in this room, we're more alike than we are different. Yes. There's some similarities, but everybody like to think that I got a story, and my business is my business. That's what the girls tell me. My business is my business. Your behavior is letting me know it's everybody's business.
All right now.
See, we always think we hiding something. I thought that when I was getting high. So can't nobody see, can't nobody tell. And everybody knew.
That's right.
Everybody knew. I was a dressed up garbage can. They all knew. So, but we always think that we got, it's my business. So that would be, have someone that you can go to, that you can talk to, and be able to say that this is how I'm feeling. This is what's going on with me.
Thank you. Joe, what advice or knowledge from the lessons of life you learned would you share for those who are going through a storm?
Well, just environment and people and working through learning through friendships and relationships that I think the worst thing in the world amongst us as people is jealousy and envy.